Hey there everyone, it's Michael Dougal. I review nootropics, and during this video today I'm going to share with you the differences between Armodafinil and Modafinil as a nootropic supplement. I now have about 6 years of experience taking both nootropics on and off. There are particular circumstances where you may want to consider taking Armodafinil, and there's particular circumstances where you may want to take Modafinil, as Modafinil has some benefits over Armodafinil. And stay tuned to the end of the video as I'll share with you my personal reasons why I think Modafinil is better. But in this video we're going to first go over the similarities, and then we'll go over the circumstances in which one may want to consider taking Armodafinil and the circumstances in which one of them would be wanting to take Modafinil. And I'll as well share the side effects of both nootropics. And if you're new to the channel, then please do consider subscribing, as I post videos weekly that will help to educate you with nootropics. And the way that I first got introduced to the Finils was I was looking for something specifically to help me when I was sleep deprived. So during my last semester at college, I was not getting much sleep as I was working full-time as a real estate agent, which is a 100% commission-based job, and then at nights I was studying. And so I had some good experience using nootropics, but I also had some good experiences taking Concerta and Ritalin, which are two pills that are prescribed for ADHD. So I noticed that those were very powerful, but I wanted to discontinue the use of them and find some sort of alternative, which is why I looked at the Finils, because Concerta, it was really good specifically for helping me work and study and sleep less. However, I experienced a horrible crash during the evening and I wasn't able to get good sleep even if it was only 5 or 6 hours. So when I started using Armodafinil initially, I really liked it back then. I mean, I was able to study, I was able to be alert, and I felt pretty much like productive, like this well-oiled machine throughout the whole course of the day. I didn't really need many breaks at that time. With Armodafinil, it's subtle, so you're still able to take the occasional nap. However, what I found that when I take Modafinil, I am so alert, so switched on, it's like I always need to be doing something. And that makes it horrible because you're in this state where you always want to be multitasking. You can be in a conversation and you'll be tempted to look at your phone and scroll maybe through your social media, or you always want to check your messages. So Modafinil, you're very switched on. With Armodafinil, not so much. It made it very practical to take because in my real estate job, I needed something that would help me with my social skills, and Modafinil can make it such that it's better for independent work, but it's not the best thing if you need to be in conversations with people. Like, you simply don't have the patience to talk to them when you're taking Modafinil. So what exactly are the similarities? And I have 5 of them which came to mind. The very first one is that both of them are great for energy. They will give you the same feeling as if you've worked out. So for most people, if they don't work out during the day, they feel very sluggish, they feel lazy, and when you take one of the Finils, you seem to not really behave like that at all. It seems to replace your workout. You feel good, you feel like standing throughout the whole day. And if you're somebody who exercises, then know that the Finils will most likely help you with exercise, especially when it comes to weightlifting. But definitely be careful if you're somebody that performs high intensity interval training, because when you do HIIT, then it makes your heart rate really accelerate. So you don't want to take any risks, because for most people, they do feel somewhat of an increased heart rate when they're taking any of the Finils. So the first would be great for energy levels. The second would be increased wakefulness. And this is one of the most common reasons why people use either Armodafinil or Modafinil, specifically for SWSD, so shift work sleep disorder. People who are working during the nights and sleeping during the days, usually they're not functioning properly and they can't concentrate when they're at work, so the Finils seem to help them out. And that's a neat use with both of them. They can be like that nootropic that you use only for emergencies. So you have like your normal nootropic stack, which may include like adaptogens and the racetams, and then you may want to have like an emergency nootropic stack, which could be like the Finils or phenylpiracetam, as they'll help you during those times when you're sleep deprived or maybe you're a bit jet lagged. The third similarity that comes to mind, and this is not documented in research, but it's been my experience that both nootropics really improve your memory. So for most people, they feel sharp at some particular point of the day. Maybe they feel sharp for a few hours and their memory seems on point, but with the Finils, you feel that way pretty much the whole day. It makes it great for making presentations. As stories will come to mind, you'll be able to engage with the audience because you can just easily associate something to the next, which could make it such that it's also good for studying as well, in the sense if you can recall things, if you can learn things at a faster rate, then all things being considered, you should be better as a student. And the next benefit is the motivation improvement, which is probably the #1 reason why people use Finils and find it so difficult to get off of them, is with Armodafinil and with Modafinil, you simply want to be out of balance and focused on work and not really be inclined to spend time with relationships or like your hobbies. For example, I love watching sports, but when I take Armodafinil or Modafinil, I have no interest in sports whatsoever. That's what they do. They make you like laser focused on being work orientated and being productive. And the fifth similarity between Modafinil and Armodafinil is that both of them are really good at fighting fatigue, which is different. During the course of the day, usually for most people within like 7 or 8 hours, they will experience a lot of fatigue and they'll need to take a break. But with the Finils, you can somehow just energize yourself to get through that break. You don't feel mentally fatigued, which makes honestly the Finils pretty good for weight loss in the sense like it can do all that while at the same time suppressing your appetite. Now that we've talked about the similarities between these two substances, let's talk about why Armodafinil may be better. And the very first one is because you're much better socially. So for anyone who has a sales job, or if you have like an entrepreneurship job where you have to be talking to people, have to be talking to a team, with Armodafinil, you won't experience the same anxiety that you experience with Modafinil. While Modafinil can be really mood improving and can boost your energy levels, what so is most people feel a little bit of anxiety, and it encourages people to work, but it makes them want to work in like a more isolated fashion. You don't have the patience for people. I mean, maybe it could be okay if your communication is like in text message form or emails, but if you're like me and you're talking to people face to face or on the phone, then it's definitely not ideal. Whereas with Armodafinil, it's like subtle to the point that sometimes you will, check in the day and be like, I don't even remember taking Armodafinil, because you don't feel too much different and it will give you the same conversational abilities that you have normally. So Armodafinil, like even on days when you're well rested, I feel like Armodafinil can enhance and improve your social skills and make you better than your baseline. The second benefit of Armodafinil over Modafinil is that it's not as stimulating. So with Modafinil, very often you'll find that you just like need to be doing something. You need to be multitasking. You can't like stay still. The idea of meditation really wouldn't be something that you look forward to. But with Armodafinil, no, you can still meditate. You can still be in solitude. You can take a nap. And because of that, you're still able to take caffeine or ingest like coffee. With Modafinil, I find like I really can't take any stimulants outside Modafinil. I would avoid caffeine altogether, because then you're in like a really stimulated state that you can't be productive and you have way too much in your mind because you're so distractible. So with our Modafinil, you feel less jittery, you feel more like yourself, you're not as stimulated. You're just kind of like a slightly more energetic and a slightly more focused version of yourself. Which leads to the next benefit, which is it doesn't induce insomnia feelings like Modafinil does. So just like I mentioned with Armodafinil, you're able to take naps because it doesn't stimulate you too much. With Armodafinil, you're still able to go to sleep on time as you would normally like to, whereas with Modafinil, I find like I need to typically like postpone the time that I sleep because I still feel Modafinil in my system to some extent. Like the way Armodafinil kind of feels in the mechanism of action in your system feels like it hits you a lot faster, whereas with Modafinil, I'm usually waiting like 3 to 4 hours after ingestion to feel something. So I really like the fact that with Armodafinil, it doesn't really disrupt my sleep schedule. Not only can I still sleep on time, but I'm getting a good sleep where I'm waking up the next day restored and rejuvenated. And the fourth benefit of Armodafinil over Modafinil is the fact that with Armodafinil, you can still feel your emotions. You don't feel stimulated, and this is really important. The ability to feel your emotions. You can be somewhat balanced when you're taking Armodafinil. If you're somebody who, for example, like you have a wife and kids and you want to go home to them and spend time with them, it's very hard to do with Modafinil, but with Armodafinil, you can be in that state where you are a bit like yourself. And I have found that in a work setting, on days when I work really, really hard under the influence of Modafinil, I don't remember the day. It's strange, and like mistakes I make or lessons I've learned, they aren't a lesson that I have retained for the future. So that's really important. Like with Modafinil, you can become a bit robotic and not have the ability to like think and center yourself, whereas with Armodafinil you can. And this is a really important benefit, especially long term. Now let's talk about where Modafinil might be better. And the very first thing is mood. There's no question about it. Modafinil is much better for improving your mood. Like your baseline mood is up. This is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because with Modafinil, when you've taken it, you seem to like enjoy all kinds of work, even work that you typically hate, which makes it such that you wouldn't have the intelligence to go out and delegate it in the future. And it can make it like a good practice sometimes to use Modafinil on those days where you have work that you don't look forward to, because again, you'll really enjoy the whole process altogether. So the first, definitely mood, and I think that's why most people have a very difficult time getting off of Modafinil. The second major benefit of taking Modafinil over Armodafinil is the boost of motivation. You to some extent feel it with Armodafinil, but with Modafinil, it's like a game changer. I can't think of any other specific nootropic that is this good at improving your work ethic, at improving your motivation. It seems like when you take Modafinil all that you're thinking about is money, and you have this like deadline, and it really like hits you hard that you only have so much time during the course of the day. And the next day you'll definitely feel like no matter how bad the modafinil hangover is, I had a productive day yesterday, and you would in most cases be wanting to take it again. And then it of course leads to a very bad cycle of you repeating taking it without even needing it. The next major benefit of modafinil over armodafinil is specifically with multitasking. And how most people are is that it takes a lot of effort to be able to concentrate on something and then switch tasks. Usually that'll take people a few minutes to get like completely engaged when they task switch. However, with modafinil, you can go from like typing something out to answering a phone call to going to a meeting. It's like nothing really seems to fatigue you, and it doesn't take long to get in that state of being present, being like in the moment and really effective at what you're doing. And you'll find this like unique ability to be able to like listen to an audiobook, to be driving and then stopping to doing something else. It's really unique that way. And again, there's not a lot of nootropics that have that benefit with respect to improving your skills at multitasking. Like Noopept is pretty good, but it comes nowhere even close. And the next major benefit is with independent work. So with independent work, when you're taking modafinil, you don't really need to take breaks as periodically as you're used to. And with armodafinil, you will still have a need to like, take a break every here and there. Maybe you'll feel a bit tired, but with modafinil, it's like go, go, go. I mean, it's ideal for somebody who's maybe like an accountant and they're in crunch time, or maybe you're a student, you're trying to like wrap up work. I'm not saying, of course, to use it because you would only take these substances under the discretion of your general practitioner. So in the grand scheme of things, armodafinil being less subtle, but giving you a better ability to socialize, modafinil being better at focusing, at improving your mood. My favorite of the two is definitely modafinil, and it's specifically because of the mood enhancement properties and the boost of motivation. It makes it such that you have a really productive day. However, the side effects of modafinil are really bad compared to armodafinil, so this is going to be different with two individuals. It's going to depend on how sensitive you are to each of them and just how bad the side effects are. Thankfully, after you use modafinil for a long period of time, you get a bit used to the side effects and you know how to properly deal with them, which I've talked about in this video over here, modafinil side effects. So now I've learned my body a bit. I've learned how to become more present and be socially better when I'm using modafinil through using other nootropics like L-theanine, like alpha-GPC, and phosphatidylserine. So provided that you know yourself a little bit, then you can get a bit used to modafinil and only use it when you need it. Because although I like modafinil more, I'm only using it maybe once or twice a week. If I had to choose one of them to take like 3 to 4 times a week, then it would definitely be armodafinil, because I can still kind of like notice my emotions and be a bit more like myself. And I hope you found this information helpful. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and drop a like if you're a returning viewer. Comment below which is your favorite of the two. Thank you as always for your interest in nootropics, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next time.